You're listening to Backstage Access, where we sit down with the artists behind the music, talking life, faith, and behind-the-scenes conversations. Real people, real stories. Let's head on backstage. All right. Thank you for joining me on Backstage Access. My guest this week is Drive Thru Society. How are you guys? Thank you so much for hanging out and spending part of your evening on our podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
We're excited to be here.
Just so that I have everything, it's Meg, Greg, Kathy, and Michael, right?
That's us, yeah.
Okay. And so just for anybody listening, they do also have Miles, who is their drummer. Unfortunately, was unable to be here tonight. One of the things I kind of wanted to get into, kind of your personal testimonies, your story, and ultimately how that led to Drive Thru Society.
I would say all of us have probably done music or been a part of music since we were really little.
Yeah.
For me, I was singing when I was like 3.
Yeah.
And I just loved music. I sang in choir. I did musical theater performances. I made state, like music in Texas is a really big deal. And, did like state my junior and senior year for choral music. But I just like had such a passion to write music. So I started playing guitar when I was 16 and just started writing my own songs. It was like a really personal way for me to like process and like talk through my relationship with God. And when I went to college, I played in like our college ministry, and that's where actually I met Greg, our lead guitar player. And I was like frantically trying to meet people to start a band because I like wanted to write, like CCM and worship music is awesome, and it definitely has its place, but I just really resonated with rock music, and I was like, where's my other people like rock music and metal, and like Greg liked classic metal, I would say,
like Striper.
Journey and a lot of guitar solos and stuff, and so it just it hit us, like we kind of started merging, and we kind of formed various iterations of the band until we landed with Drive Thru Society, and that's kind of where it's been. We still play at church, like we're still part of our church's praise team. Like I said, because it's still fun for us to be a part of corporate worship, and we love worshiping with the body of Christ, but playing metal and rock is just a different form of worship for us and whatnot. So that was me. I've been around it all my life. Someone else can go next.
Okay.
Greg talks a lot, so he's going to go next.
I will. I'll keep short. Try to. So I basically I started playing guitar when I was 10. My dad played guitar, and I got to watch him teach my sister, who was a little bit older. And I eventually tried to get pointers from him and learn from him, and he taught me Stairway to Heaven, and I just went from there. And I ended up going. I played in my youth band. That was kind of a little bit of how I got saved. I played guitar, and I played like Trivium and some super heavy metal stuff in like the 7th, 8th grade. And I went to tryouts for our youth group, and they had me like fill out this big packet, and I had to learn like some Switchfoot songs, and I ended up coming to know the Lord during that experience. And so that was kind of the Ephesians 2:8, by grace you've been saved, not by works. And so like from that point I accepted Christ, and then I played in my youth band, and then in college I went to UNT for classical guitar, and my sole goal was to find a band. So I found Meg, and we started writing music, and obviously, like, Meg had a lot of skillet and red in her blood, in her hair, and we just, we hit it off, playing stuff like that, and just trying to write more heavier music, and yeah, like she said, we play for our churches, and and so getting to throw some chugs in there on a break a bridge or something for a CCM song is a lot of fun, and fun to do on a Sunday morning.
Oh, I bet.
So
it's got to be challenging to kind of hold back a little bit.
Yeah. So like the CCM music is very typical of having like a little guitar lead line, like in between the chorus, in the next verse, or like at the intro of the song.
Instrumental.
Yeah, there's like little instrumentals every once in a while you get, and sometimes the DM they'll cut the instrumental, and we're like, no, don't cut the instrumental. MD, yeah.
The DM.
Director of music.
Oh, I'm sorry. Music director.
Yeah. But anyways, so it's definitely a fun outlet for sure. And it helps. It really, like, for those that are, up and coming and really wanting to know music, like it really does help, like, build a good foundation.
Worship music.
Yeah, like
playing
at your church, and it's a good opportunity to, like, see what it's like playing on a stage, and and being in groove with,
and preparing the music beforehand, like learning to prepare it,
practice.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's me.
It was pretty short. Good job.
And also, we should say that Meg and Greg are married. They met at UNT.
Yep.
So music brought them together too, which is lovely.
Same with Patty and Michael.
Yeah.
They're also married, and they literally met in their what do you call it? Studio.
Oh my goodness.
And listen,
nice.
I'm a cultured, non-professional musician in their studio at the college. So, all right, Michael, you can.
Okay, so I guess with music, I started in 6th grade with viola in orchestra, and I kind of just like floated along. Like, I enjoyed the class, but I wouldn't say I was like super dedicated until I started playing guitar as well when I was 14 too. And like, I kind of did both of them at the same time. And as I was graduating, I was kind of like, well, what am I going to do with myself? And so I decided to take on viola actually as my main thing. And so I went to OSU, and then I went to UNT down here in Denton. And then that's where I met Kathy, actually, was in the UNT studio. And during this time I was actually agnostic. And I was kind of going under the idea of like, I really don't care. Like, I had all these, the normal hard questions that people have. And I was just kind of like, I don't care. I just want to do my own thing and not worry about it. But I kept noticing signs of the Lord kind of popping up in my life here and there. And funnily enough, I think one thing was girls, because I kept dating Christian girls. And so I kept going to church with them, and Kathy was one of them. And so then at UNT, Kathy and I started dating. And one day, it was right after Easter, I want to say, like, they had a call to the altar service, and I just felt something pulling me to the front, just saying, like, you have to go. You can't not. Mm-hmm. And so I did, and I accepted the Lord into my life, and then we got married. And it was through that church, actually, that we met Meg and Greg. Mm-hmm. And they said, yo, we got a metal band. And I said, I used to be in a metal band. We should jam sometime. And then, long story short, now we're here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are all of you in the same worship team at the same church?
We were, for a really long time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We actually left about a little over a year, almost a year and a half ago. And since then, Greg and I found a new church, and Kathy and Michael have been contracting, playing at various churches in the area. So they haven't been able to find like a home church just yet, but they've gone back to certain places like pretty consistently. But yeah, we loved playing together, and we have kind of like a separate worship group that we play like events with and stuff that we get to play together. So
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking when you guys were all sharing how you got connected, I was like, man, if all of them are playing together on the same worship team, that has to be even harder. Just like looking at each other and thinking, we could be so much louder than this.
It was so hard. And then like our drummer at the time, it wasn't Miles, it was a different guy. We were like, we know he could do halftime. We're like, come on, like. And we used to joke with our worship pastor, and he would laugh at us, But he was very awesome at like letting us be ourselves too. Like Greg would be like, "Can I add something here?" He's like, "Yeah, I trust you," And Greg was like, "Yes." Yeah. Or Michael would do something cool on the guitar, and he was like all about it, And we were a very traditional Baptist church,
okay.
So the fact that he was very open to letting us like use our talents and skills was awesome. Yeah. We never went, across the line.
It was pretty close though.
We didn't get very close.
Right.
Yeah, that's funny you asked because, like when that worship director retired, Michael and I were playing some viola duets for his retirement kind of celebration, and we were playing and everybody was talking about him, and I said, one of the things that I loved about his name is Keith, and I said one of the things I loved about Keith is that whoever works with him, Keith lets them shine, and he has like a beautiful gift from God to see what God has given them, even if they don't see it yet themselves. And I credit him completely with letting me, kind of like what Meg was saying, like being like, hey, try this thing, like try improvising, try playing with these people you've never played with before, just try. And I was like, hey, can I put this thing in? I don't really like the music line that's written in there for me for violin. Can I change it? And he's like, yes, of course.
Yeah.
And then one of the other ladies we served on with the team, who's married to the senior pastor there, I was talking to her about other things with music, and she said, try writing your own songs. And I was like, oh, is that allowed? She said, yes, like you should. And that's, and Michael and I, well, I guess more me, but as a first classically trained person, I didn't, like, we usually have composers who write the music for us.
Right.
And so we interpret the music and put our artistry into the already created artistry of Bach and Beethoven and other composers. So to have that be an option blew my mind.
Yeah, like opened your world
yes.
up a little bit. That's cool.
Yeah. So this is Kathy. I'm the violinist, and my mom's whole side of the family are all musicians, and so they all learned how to play violin. Okay. And I learned it too, and I wanted to. It wasn't like they forced it on me. Like, I absolutely wanted to, and so I started at the same time as Greg. I started in 5th grade. I was 10 and absolutely loved the violin. And when I was 14 in 8th grade, I was like, I think I'm going to be a musician for the rest of my life. That's what I want to do. So I got into music school in Rochester, New York at the Eastman School of Music for my undergrad on viola. I started on violin, but then I switched to viola. And I still played violin all the way through, but and then I got my master's in viola performance from the Cleveland Institute of Music, and then I came down here to Texas to do my doctorate at UNT, and that's where I met Michael in the viola studio. And it was funny, Michael said that he always ended up dating Christian girls. For some reason, I always ended up dating metal guitarists and metalheads. Yeah. I don't know why. And Michael was the next and last person I dated, but we started to hang out with Meg and Greg, and I was pretty trepidatious at first, and Michael,
because of us,
because I'd always
now you just offended Meg. She's like, wait a minute.
But we're really over on this.
Yes, yeah. But my dad is he's always loved classic rock and blues, and my mom is a huge music lover too, and we grew up with a bunch of music styles, and my sister and I would do little productions in our house, of musicals and Broadway and soul and rock and Amy Grant and everything, and Michael W. Smith, and
and here's this lady with purple hair.
Yeah. So I'd always loved rock music and always wanted to be in a band, but I never knew if that could ever happen. And so when Michael started to talk to Meg and Greg at church, and he was like, "Hey, what do you think about joining their band?" And I was like, "I guess. I don't know."
They're not like professional.
But thanks to Keith and playing at the church we all played at, like I had really started to learn more about like music outside of classical music and how I could play as a violinist in that and make it work.
It's been so fun to watch her, because her like, I guess, focus was new music.
Okay. Like new music and classical music.
Which is like a very, in non-professional musician, to me it's like really eclectic sounds and polyrhythms and weird. Yeah. So to have that in a metal band is really cool, because she makes some rad sounds on the violin, and I'm like, what on earth? And then you put it all together with the music, and you're like, that is so cool. It's been really fun. Yeah,
it really has. It's truly like a dream come true. Sometimes I know it sounds like a trope, but I really do have to pinch myself sometimes, being like, I never thought that I would get to be in an incredible Christian metal band with my best friends and like get to play like together. Yeah, it's amazing, and like making music videos and acting in music videos and playing shows. It's incredible, and especially because I grew up in a super, super conservative independent Baptist church in Colorado, where rock music and guitars and drums were not looked at as something that was an option for Christians.
Yeah.
And so being able to, I went to Baptist school too at that church. I got saved when I was 6. So it was the most conservative like upbringing. And now I'm in this band, and it's amazing that we can serve the Lord and have this ministry outside, like inside the church, and then outside the church as well. It's incredible. Like we're really, truly, truly blessed.
So what year did Drive Thru Society officially start as a band?
Oh my gosh, I was having to think about this the other day. I would say that like behind the scenes we were under a different name, but we weren't writing and recording our own music. I would say 2015 was probably when we were officially like on the scene.
That's what our t-shirts say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because we released our first EP that year. That was when we pushed to radio. We got a radio promoter, and we were like playing shows, and like we were kind of again like out on the scene. So I would say since then, but we've kind of had an interesting timeline. We kind of left the scene in 2017, and
so Meg and Greg.
Yeah, Meg. It was just Greg and I, and it was extremely difficult season for us. And then actually in 2020, we were supposed to play Loud and Proud in Germany, and we were like so amped because we were like, man, we thought music was over. We thought God was pulling us out of it.
And Michael and I just joined.
Michael and Kathy had just come on, like, and joined us. And so we were like, oh yeah, like the Lord's restoring it. Like he's bringing us back into it. And then COVID happened. And I feel like it just set everybody back. So instead of like getting annoyed and just sitting on our hands, we started writing because we were like, we're going to take advantage of this time. We're going to learn how to write together. And we found a new producer, decided like we're going to go try and work with him, just recorded one song. We were like,
we're going to try it out.
Yeah, we're just going to try it out. And then one song turned into 12. And so it's been really fun to kind of get back into it, you know. But so I would say, to answer your question, 2015.
Okay.
We've tried to like take advantage of social media now, you know, to try and grow that part. It's just because you have follows and likes doesn't mean that it's going to be like a ticket sale.
But also you meet people, you get to develop relationships, and also like it's, instead of looking at it in the realm of like, oh, we're millennials, grown, like this wasn't the kind of music scene we grew up with. Let's embrace it. Let's have fun with it. And we're all given creative gifts by God. And so we've just learned to enjoy it and like be more, use our creativity in a different way and be like, hey, let's just embrace it and have fun with it.
And hoping that by building those relationships through meeting people online or through these social media platforms, that they would want to come out to the show if we were nearby, you know.
And they have.
Some of them have, absolutely.
Yeah. Even though we're a small band, like it's people have said, hey, I found you on TikTok. I found you on like this, like the Christian metal group,
page,
on Facebook, you know, like it's, so we're meeting people through there, and instead of just like grumbling about it, we're like, you know what,
put in the work.
This is our world, and like, how about we look at it as a gift rather than a hurdle?
Yeah, I think it's so important to have that mentality and just being appreciative of every person, you know, that shows up. And it can be easy, you know, we talked about this earlier, you know, before we started recording, but just it's easy to kind of be discouraged when there's, you know, not the crowd that we want, or, you know, whatever the case is. But, you know, when you take a step back and it's like, you know, but regardless, like everybody that is here, you know, paid money or drove however far to see us, you know, to see us play, and, you know, just using that as motivation. And, you know, there are people who are just really dedicated. I know people in Southern Indiana, kind of northern part of Kentucky, that are just, they're so supportive of the Christian rock industry, especially, and they will drive, you know, within 2, 3, 4 hours to show support. You know, that's my biggest thing. Is there are bands obviously that I love, that I enjoy listening to. Even beyond that, it's about just support and just being there to show support to an artist. Like that's what I'm there for. I know the struggles, like I don't know the struggles of being necessarily a musician in the industry, but I know the struggles of being the promoter and putting on the shows, and how easy it can be to be discouraged when, you know, the crowd isn't there. And, you know, so I always try, like, if I can be there, I'm there. And,
we appreciate you so much. And, you know, Kathy and I, like, we kind of took on this mentality and all of us, but we had to remind ourselves a lot. Like, we started releasing music last year, and, you know, after such a long hiatus, the game had changed so much. I felt like we were starting over from scratch. And, like, just trying to learn how do you promote, like, social media and content creation. Like, that wasn't a thing 10 years ago. You know, it's like, oh, post on Facebook, get Facebook likes, and that was about it, you know. But this is like a whole new era. And so we kind of took on the mentality of like, okay, we're going to bring Jesus our loaves and fishes, and he's going to multiply them as he sees fit.
And let's learn everything we can.
Let's learn everything we can. Let's do what we can. But he's going to be the one that has to multiply it, you know? And that means there's 20 people there, then that's fine. If there's 200, so be it, you know?
If we get 20 likes. We spent hours on that video. Well, that's okay. And I'm sure you know, like you live in this world, you like you have that sort of thing. But for us, it was like all of us in the band. It's kind of funny. All of us were very like kind of anti-social media. We didn't have a TikTok at all.
Nope.
So like we've it's like I said, it's been fun, and every time like if something happens like that, we're like, everybody's gonna eat up this video. They're gonna love this, and then it bombs. And Meg and I say so much to each other, like loaves and fishes, loaves and fishes, and we'll stick like the emojis to each other.
Bread and a fish.
and thankfully, like it's gotten to the point where we're not putting so much of our just like musicians. You have to learn how to distance your emotions and your being sometimes from the reactions you're going to get
online.
And that's an incredible part of going to music school. You learn how to separate who you are from the art you create in the reactions you get. Because if you have to put everything out there, but if somebody doesn't react like you think, you can't let that destroy you. And I know it seems like ridiculous, like comparing that to like a reel on Instagram or TikTok, but it's true. Like we're creative people, and we want, and it's not necessarily about being liked, but about people recognizing our artistry and our creativity and what we're trying to put into like what God has given us. And it's the same thing in viola studio class. It's the same thing on TikTok.
It's the same thing in the studio when you're in the vocal booth.
Tell about your mom.
I know. I was actually thinking of that. Sorry, I know we're like talking a lot. But.
Oh no, it's good. Yeah, I think having that mentality, the loaves and the fishes, and like it's basically you do as much as you can, and you trust God with the rest.
Yeah,
and that's really all you can do. And we live in a day and age where, unfortunately, social media is king. It's I was against TikTok like for so long, and okay, I'll be honest, I still am, but it's we have a TikTok, but my wife runs it because I was just like, no, I was like, I can't do it, and I said,
I can't remember the last time Greg's been on a social media platform. So
yeah,
one time
so
I noticed
hard.
that Greg liked something, and I was like, Meg, was this you?
Yeah,
and she was like, yes.
It's so hard, but in today's day and age, like that's the only way that you're going to get any sort of, recognition or anything. And, and like you said,
yeah.
It's like
we have
you said,
some ridiculous videos, and it's fun.
yeah. I mean, you gotta find the joy in it. And, with everybody everybody feeling like they have to voice their opinion about every little thing. Like that's what really gets challenging for me. And when people, especially like when artists are out there and they're just really like putting their heart and soul into everything that they're doing, every piece of content they're creating, they're showcasing, like a song that they just wrote or whatever the case is. And to see people just like belittle and attack, like I hate social media, but it's like one of those, like I said, the day and age we're in, it's kind of one of those necessary evils. Like, nobody would know. I mean, nobody knows anyway, but even less people would know about, like our business and the podcast and everything, like if we didn't have social media. So it's like one of those things, like I accept it. But there's still so many things that I dislike about it.
We've actually started joking, like when we get funny comments, we're like, yay, interaction.
Like bad stuff, and we're like,
doesn't matter.
It's engagement.
It's engagement,
Yeah.
See, that's why everybody should go to music school because you learn how to take all that stuff and all the negativity and still keep going.
Yeah.
Still put your heart and soul in everything, and you can't let it get to you. Like there are people. I remember, so when I was doing my undergrad at Eastman in New York, they did that classic thing they do in college where they say, look to your right, look to your left. Only like two of the people or one of the people you're looking at will make it through graduation. And there was definitely, I mean, this is a conservatory, so it's small already, but I think we had 150 people in our freshman class. And definitely like that first semester and then the second semester, there were way fewer people. And I mean, these were already kids that had, quote unquote, made it, like had gone to a conservatory, like one of the highest levels you can get in classical music. And some people, they're just not cut out for it. It's not bad, but their heart can't take it. And thankfully, like as musicians in this era, that's one of the things we try to do is we don't want to continue the negativity that we grew up with. Kind of like what you were asking about, like, was it difficult when we started out? Yes, at times, yes. And we don't want to continue that. We want to make it more positive, and especially for women in music and Christian metal musicians in this scene, we want to embrace people and not make it toxic and negative. That is the last thing we want.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so we'll shift a little bit from the.
You can edit out a lot of our extra banter.
No. I was just gonna say we'll switch from the the negative people complaining and all that stuff. So, but just out of curiosity, so obviously, you guys have done, shows and things, and you've been around since 2015. So just to kind of throw a lighter question out just for fun, for each of you, what is your favorite food to have on the road?
On the road?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Taco Bell. Let's go. You go to Taco Bell, you're going to get a burrito that's the same darn thing as Taco Bell.
I call it flat out affection for Taco Bell for many years.
Long time. Yeah.
Taco Bell is the place. Like, my wife makes fun of me, but I'll like legit, like I'll eat Taco Bell like 2 or 3 times a week at least.
I can't do it.
I
can't do it anymore.
We kind of started this thing of doing Jimmy John's when we were going down to record with our producer in San Antonio. And I really started to look forward to that. Like, for me, like, Jimmy John's has started to become like a
correlation.
Drive-through food.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
I never knew that.
But we're going to be doing a lot of traveling this summer, so you should probably our answers would change.
Yeah, it'll change this summer.
Miles is great, okay? Because Miles, like, he's hardcore into like working out and taking care of himself and eating his particular thing.
And then he'll have something else.
And then he'll have like Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah. and Monsters.
But he brings like a cooler with his hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah.
That he can,
no salt. No pepper, just straight up.
Raw.
Oh my goodness! Not raw, but no.
He's like protein gold, baby.
Oh my goodness!
I like popcorn. I actually love chips, but I have no self control with chips, so I don't buy them.
Okay.
It's funny too. Is like since in 2015, we were like, fresh out of college. Give us any show, take us anywhere, and feed us anything. And so, we would get, a bag full of hot dogs, no buns, just a hot dog.
Yeah.
And you would just take that with you, So I feel like my palate has become a little more sophisticated. So
not like we won't still eat a bag of hot dogs.
Yes, yeah.
But we actually like prepare a lot of food beforehand.
Okay.
Help cut down costs.
And costs, or if we're staying somewhere, we try to get an Airbnb so we can cook our own food.
Yeah.
Just to help with cost and making sure it's a little bit healthier.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
when you're in your 30s, you can't eat the Taco Bell and Rolly Dogs like all day, every day.
Yeah,
that is true. That is true.
And just half a pan of brownies that they send with you.
Because they're all amazing.
Yeah.
So kind of coming to a close here, I wanted to ask you guys. So earlier you said you're working on a full album that's going to be released soon.
It is done.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have been dropping singles just to kind of like gain momentum and put ourselves back out on the scene. And we have one more single to drop that's going to drop at the end of April. And then the full length will be released June 9th. But we're going to do physical copies first. And then we'll release it digitally maybe a couple weeks later.
Yeah. So we have 4 singles out already. Enemy, Memories, Know You, and The Fight. And then so our next one, like Meg said, the 5th one will be released in April. And so we're just gearing up for like getting lots more merch for the summer and doing lots of cool like packages, like with a new t-shirt or stickers, or we're thinking some cool socks.
She's trying to push socks.
Yeah, I am. And those socks where you can get like your pet or like your kid's face on it? We're gonna do that. Yeah, exactly. Greg's wearing some right now.
We're not getting him with our faces on them.
No, but we'll
That would be awesome.
Okay, I was actually thinking that was going to be a great idea. Like if they get the band members' faces on the socks, that would be amazing.
So we're gonna do some merch packages with people's faces on socks, and we're thinking also like a cool like lyric booklet that has like everything about like behind the song and like the beautiful artwork that all the artists we've worked with.
We write really metaphorically, and so we don't use a lot of explicit scripture in our lyrics. But I have scripture behind every song, so I thought a book would be really cool to kind of explain the scripture and how I interpreted it in the song. Okay. But yeah, so we're excited. It's technically our first full-length release. So, and I get like hyper into bands that have lots of lore and storylines. So it's actually a concept album.
Yeah.
And the album is called Threshold, and it's essentially about different things that kind of come into your home and kind of try to steal your joy and disrupt the peace that you've kind of created there. And the threshold being like the door frame of your house. And there's a scripture, and I think it's in Proverbs, that says like, above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. So it's like the threshold could be a metaphor for your heart. It could be a metaphor for your home, your relationships, like anything to just, guard against the schemes of the enemy where he comes and tries to steal your peace. So that's where like we've talked about some hard topics, like enemy is the starter of the album, which is our first single, which is just essentially that he's at the door ready to devour us and steal from us. And then the second single was Know You, which is a song about miscarriage and infertility. Just from my own personal experience, and then from the experience of many of my friends that have walked through it, I just wanted to capture like the trauma and the, grief that comes with losing a child, or the disappointment that comes with not being able to conceive. And that one's been well received at all of our shows, despite like how painful it is.
Like we were talking about, people come up to the merch table.
I pray for a lot of people when it comes to that. Like pretty much every show we've played, I've laid hands and prayed on people for that reason specifically. And then the third song is about my grandma's battle with dementia, and just the idea of like losing your mind and what that looks like and how it can affect those around you. And then The Fight, our newest single, is about kind of fighting for your marriage or any type of relationship that, you're kind of recognizing is struggling. And, all of those things are very personal and kind of like really specific things, but all of them affect us in our home very deeply, and they may not be as well known outside of the battle you face in the home. And so every song on the album deals with a topic in that capacity, from addiction to domestic violence to doubt, like
and anger.
So we're really excited. I hope people can like grasp it. Like all of our music videos are actually going to be kind of tied together, kind of in the same world. I don't know if you've watched all of them, but they all have the same actress. For the most part, so it's supposed to kind of be about her life and story and kind of the character. So hoping once we drop the album, it'll make a little bit more sense. But
so there's an intro, and then we have several songs, and then there's an interlude too. So we have two instrumentals, and then the single that we're releasing next month, that's our last like big blowout song of the album, and we're really excited to get that music video out too. Like we have a full like dance sequence with
in a church.
Yeah, in a church. It's just gorgeous. We're really excited about this next single. We couldn't be more excited about it. And it's so heavy too. It's the heaviest thing we've ever released. And I don't want to give it away. I don't want to spoil it.
Are you talking heavy as in sound or subject?
All of so many of our songs are super heavy in subject matter, absolutely, for sure. This one goes heavy like sonically, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the song is about like the joy of our salvation being restored to us, like someone who's fallen away that maybe has kind of fallen in love with the things of the world, and God inviting them back into right relationship with Him, and them accepting that invitation. Yeah, the song is called New Fire, and it's essentially just about how God gives us a renewed spirit and a new fire. I initially wrote it with like the idea of like someone coming to salvation for the first time, But kind of as like we were talking to the music video and just the story of it, Kathy and I were both kind of like aligned with this idea of like it would be really cool if it was like someone that like had known faith and fell away, and God was like inviting them back, and they received that invitation. And so it was the most ambitious music video we did, but it's gonna be so good.
We're so excited.
Yeah, I hope that people see. We worked so hard on this one.
And it has 5 different scenes. Like, we did it over a full weekend, and on one day we filmed
for like 16 hours.
For 16 hours, yeah. And like,
oh my goodness,
it was crazy.
But like, we'll get there. We'll talk about it once it comes out.
Okay.
Yeah. We're pumped.
Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds very exciting. I wanted to ask about your album. When people are listening to it, what do you want them to feel?
The Holy Spirit.
But I think like one of the gifts that God has given us in music is that everybody experiences it differently. And so I feel like what Greg was saying about the Holy Spirit, we never want our songs to be devoid of any spiritual matter whatsoever. Mm-hmm. That's not our goal at all.
Well, I feel like with the songs being as heavy as they are in subject matter, it really does kind of put the finger on like what we should be angry at and what we should be guiding our thoughts and emotions towards. And so it's cool to be able to like use music to direct like somebody's emotions and feelings. Like, you know, as a rocker or a metalhead, you know, it's like when the breakdown hits, like we just have this like, oh, this is so awesome. Yeah. Like, you know, and there's the feeling of like, I want to punch something, or, you know, I want to righteously, you know, kind of deal. And so when we were screaming, when Meg was screaming, you know, in the breakdowns, like to be able to direct that towards the enemy, who we've already like established by the first song, like who the enemy is, right? It's not flesh and blood, but it's principalities, right? It's the spiritual battle, spiritual warfare, you know. And so to be able to, you know, like direct your emotions, you know, to be able to like sing something that's pretty or listen to something that is, you know, all these like stringed instruments, and it's very like, you know, ethereal, you know, you kind of get this like throne room vibe, you know. But then like when we go into these like dirty breakdowns, you know, it's like and we're like screaming about, you know, how, you know, Satan is coming to kill, steal, and destroy, you know, that like, and he needs to get out, you know, kind of deal. Like there's almost like a focus, right, for the listener to then direct their attention to, so that you kind of, I think that's one of the cool things about art and music, is that like you get to create a visual sonically. And so I, you know, and that's why like I love guitar solos, is because, you know, like there are things that you can do instrumentally that like maybe you can't always put to words. You know, and so being able to like do, you know, a solo, or, you know, whether it's violin or drums or guitar, you know, like there's this moment of like, and I love it in CCM when they have instrumentals, because I feel like it's like that time where I get to worship without like, it's like, it's what
pinpointed,
like, it's what
guided or direction.
Right. It's kind of like what I'm feeling, you know? Yeah. So anyway, so I hope when people are listening to this album, there is like, they understand thematically what we're singing about, but then they also lyrically kind of get what we're screaming about and how we're directing that emotion or that story towards, so that they can kind of, you know, almost experience it how we're trying to communicate it, you know.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So how can people find your guys' music, and how can they follow you guys to stay up to date with what you're working on, and as you guys drop these releases?
So we're on all the social platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Just search Drive Thru Society, and the through is spelled THRU, like a drive-through.
Yes.
A lot of people spelled it like the proper way. And then Kathy kind of runs our TikTok, so we're on there. We have like Threads and X, but we don't really hang out there that often. So mainly Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok is our primary areas of that. We do have a website that you can access everything through as well, and you can find merch there.
It's drivethrusocietybands.com.
Yep. And yeah, and so we try to stay pretty active on socials. We actually created like a social spreadsheet, so we're there every day. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we're on all streaming platforms. We're on Apple Music, Spotify,
YouTube.
Everything. Yep. Everything.
Well, good deal. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you to our listeners for checking out this episode of Backstage Access with Drive Thru Society. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Thank you for having us.
It was so fun. Thank you.